Lawyer takes on Andrewtate again.
Reacting to the judge's order on Andrewtate. I've gotten some
Just
backlash
order.
from some incels on our channel about
Incel?
Andrewtate. I had one guy say, I'm so sad that a lawyer is jealous of Andrewtate. He'll never reach his level. I hope not. I don't want to be in a Romanian
His
jail
level.
cell where 56
Okay.
other guys are in the same toilet that's in the middle of the
Interesting.
fucking room. I hope I don't reach his level. Some of the detractors have been saying that I take things out of context and, what color is your Bugatti? And whatever. And so
Bugatti.
I am going to kind of break down what the judge said. And I think I already did a thing about taking things out of context. But let's talk about what the judge focused on in determining the decision to keep him detained. First of all, Romania is a country that's part of the International Convention Against Sex Trafficking. So they're trying to standardize things across the globe because sex trafficking by its nature is borderless. In other words, if everybody has the same type of structure against sex trafficking, it should work as a kind of a global thing to prevent it. If there's a safe haven for sex traffickers, that's where they'll go. So that's what the idea is between that international convention. First, the judge references the definition of human trafficking, the protocol regarding prevention and repression and punishment. Human trafficking, especially of women and children, in addition to the United Nations Convention. The judge starts out by talking about the definition and where the law comes from. Then he starts talking about concrete danger for the public that they present. And even if the defendants are not known with criminal past, the charge represents a state of normality that cannot justify, in context of the present case, the release of the defendants at this procedural moment in relation to the high gravity of the alleged crime of human trafficking and the creation of a criminal group organized for which they are investigated. And then the other thing he talks about in the order is the judge talks about, we had that stuff that had happened in London. Well, the judge says even though that's not a crime, it cannot be ignored. So he's using that, and he fled to this jurisdiction, and he's also using the fact that he's talked in videos and flaunting flight. He talks about that in his order.
England wants me in jail, I can fly on a Nigerian passport, or an American, or an English, or a Polish, or an Estonian. I have so many passports.
Why so many passports?
Everything he is doing is consistent. But here's even the kicker. Looking at private videos that are part of the police file, from the following passages from the context of this content, there is no doubt a deep lack of respect for the legal norms and a total indifference to the social protected values that the defendant gives proof of.
Oh no, not a court in Romania.
Not this video again.
Get me out of jail. The law says you're guilty. I said get me out of jail. Don't go see a lawyer to talk about the law. I've committed multiple felonies. How much does it cost to make this all go away?
But also the attitude of disregard towards women in general, which he perceives only as a means of getting his content released. In other words, making money. The judge cannot agree with the support of the defense in the sense that the video content presents only one character and cannot be taken into account since the defendant exhibits the same attitude in the relations with the injured persons and is evident from the content of the conversations that are in these criminal prosecution files. The defense had made an argument. You can't really look at what he's saying on those videos because that's just a character that he's playing. Well, the judge has also looked at some private files, and the judge says, I can't ignore it. You look in some of the thing, he shows you his 7 passports. I mean, who has 7 passports? And if you look at, we'll show you some video in a minute about the search. You look at the guns, you look at the passports, you look at all the other things that are on the table. He's ready to rock and roll. I mean, why does he need all this stuff? Well,
ready to fly away.
I'll tell you why. Because he fled one jurisdiction, and he's worried about people coming after him. Cops in general. Regarding the need to prevent the commission of another crime, purpose mentioned in enumerated paragraph 202, blah, blah, blah. The judge notes the situation by which his conduct prior to committing the act is the subject of the case. The defendant proves the real risk of repeat criminal behavior. The judge is basically saying is, if you look at some of the recent statements put out by his camp, Andrewtate has nothing but the utmost respect for law and authority.
Respect.
Nothing but the most respect for the Romanian courts.
Video says otherwise.
Of course they're going to say that now. But what did he flaunted it on his video. He absolutely flaunted it. Andrewtate's videos that he made are completely biting him in the ass. When somebody tells you who they are, believe them. When Andrewtate tells you he's got 7 passports because he could go to Romania, I could go to Bulgaria, I could go to Sudan, wherever the fuck he says he's going to go. He's so full of shit. You know, and the thing that kills me, honestly, about this guy in general is the hubris. And he not only preys on these women, but he preys on these young guys with no self-esteem, and they just think he's the bee's knees. Oh, look, he's driving a Bugatti,
he's the top
you know, and he's doing this, he's doing that, and he just has money, hand over fist. Well, you can make money hand over fist, but if you have to look over your shoulder, that's called short money. It's absolutely short money. And so anybody out there who's paying $50 a month to Hustle University, which I don't think exists anymore, is someone that needs to look elsewhere for motivation and support. In that motivation that you're looking for, look at what he did. He started out being successful as a fighter. You don't make a lot of money as a professional kickboxer.
It's true.
He wound up with, when he got done with the fight game, he had 70 grand to his name. He blew 30 of it trying to gamble it to try to get a place in Thailand, and it was left with $40,000 left. He was going for the quick money. He was selling drugs for a short time.
But fighting wasn't paying the bills, sold drugs, whatever.
And then he does the webcam thing and didn't do it. I mean, the webcam business is not illegal by itself. But to do it the way he did it, and with the deception and the fraud that he engaged in, because that's his MO. That's his MO. He has to get the quick money because he didn't have the skill. Why, you know, I want to say he didn't have the skill set to do it right, but he probably did. But just he got greedy, and you know, I mean, why would you tie up all your money in 33 cars, as he said? I think they just seized another 4 vehicles. He's put himself in a very vulnerable position by engaging in criminal activity. When you break the law, you give the government a foray into your life, right? You just do, because you give the government the ability to then control your life. And who's controlling where he is and what he's doing. Had he done this the proper way, and I don't know what that means exactly, because I'm not in the webcam business. The guys that are looking at him as an idol, and there are a lot of you out there. I don't have, you know, Bugatti money, but you know what? If I had to do what Andrewtate did, I wouldn't want Bugatti money. Even if I had that kind of money, I wouldn't fucking buy a Bugatti. When you set up your program, whatever your program is, go to work, start your own business, whatever you're doing, you got to do it so that it isn't like Andrew. So I mean, he's vulnerable himself. Okay, let's look at what he did. His first victims were addicts, right? Drug addicts. Second victims, you know, and he's always doing something in the back of people. The second victims were the ladies that he was keeping there. And I know some people said they were free to leave at any time. Bullshit. Yeah, they wouldn't have a case if they were. You got 6 people who said they weren't. But then the third victim was you guys. You guys had signed up for Hustle University. You were hustled. I mean, you were online, and he was feeding what you needed to hear. And unfortunately, it was BS. It was absolutely BS. You know, I know it's fashionable in some circles to be full of bravado and say, oh, my bitch is doing this or that, and have this persona. But you know what's even better than that is being revered for being a hard-working son of a bitch and providing for the people around you and having their admiration.
This
That
is
short
not that
circle of
extreme
people.
for other people.
And there's nothing beats that. You know, I have a family that
that's
sits
true.
around me, and I try to make sure every one of them is taken care of, and I do it through legitimate means.
Hardworking man,
And
money.
you know, it wasn't easy for me to go to law school. You know, when I went to law school, I had shitty grades coming out of college. I didn't think I'd get in, and when I got in, I thought they were gonna put their hand on my shoulder and say, "Look, we made a mistake." But I worked my ass off, and I really liked law school, and I grinded it out. And it was like 7 years between my first year of college until till the end of law school. And by doing that, guess what? I was able to set up my law practice, and I've been doing this for 25 years, and I have all the trappings of a good life. That is solid. That's where you need to be. So when you look at the decisions that Andrew Tate has made, he's made his bed. And his bed is right now with about 56 other guys in a single room with a toilet in the middle. The next phase for him will be to face the charges, and we'll follow this. So he isn't getting out. The
How many
judge
years is
has
there?
used his videos against him that were in the police file, rejected all the defense, and I wouldn't be shocked if all of a sudden he winds up with new lawyers, because that's the kind of guy that he is. Unless
New lawyer?
off camera, he's really understanding how much trouble he's in. I heard this. I don't know if this is accurate or not. I heard he could be looking at up to 14 years. I don't know if that's true or not. All I know is he is looking at a boatload of time. He's looking at the better part of 10 years. And
10 years.
at the end of the day, just be good to the people around you. Work your ass off. You know, have a program that can't, you know, you don't have to look behind you. So we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Make sure you subscribe.
Understanding money by the jail time. I don't know. I don't think so in this case. Very high profile case. So I'm video development hospital.